Good evening, everyone. Peace and blessings to you. My name is Reverend Leah Alvarado, and I'm with New Thought Northern Colorado Center for Spiritual Living. Welcome to the season for nonviolence. Every day we come together for a total of 64 days to practice a different principle of peace and nonviolence based on the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King. So glad you're here today. Today is day 42, and our topic is monitoring our actions. Gandhi said, action expresses priorities. Our actions express what is true for us in the moment of that action. We cannot proclaim nonviolence and expect others to believe us unless our actions reflect nonviolence. Often in our zeal to achieve our goal, we commit violence, and it's usually upon those who oppose us. In doing so, we not only fail to achieve our goal, we actually set our cause back. Our actions in every case express our true priorities. We never get to say, but their actions made me do this. This statement is not only an echo of childish rationalization, it actually expresses our priority in winning. When someone uses the principles of nonviolence as a tool to achieve their own agenda, they will always become violent when confronted with frustration and disappointment. The priority was, after all, not nonviolence, but achieving a goal. This is why nonviolent movements often fail. Only when our priority is nonviolence for nonviolence sake can we succeed. Remembering that our actions express our true priority are always a way for us to monitor who we really are. When we monitor our actions as a daily practice, we will always see the true priorities. We can then make the necessary adjustments and heal whatever has caused us to lose sight of what matters. So my first question for you today is, what do my actions say about my priorities? Hi, Dennis. Hi, Resin. Nice to have you both with me today. So I just put the questions in the chat. Would love any comments about them. Again, the first question is, what do my actions say about my priorities? It's pretty clear, yeah? So the actions that we're taking in our life, you know, we may say, this is an example, we may say, I am committed to losing weight, but then our actions don't reflect that. So then how committed are we really? If we say, I'm committed to creating a world of peace and nonviolence, but our actions don't reflect that at all, our actions are the opposite of that, something to look at. Yeah, so it really does show us what our priorities are, the actions that we're taking. We may say one thing, we may have a bumper sticker that says peace for all, and then when someone cuts us off in traffic, they see a whole different side of us, yeah. So are they congruent? Are they in alignment? And it's something to reflect on. The next question is related to the topic of nonviolence. What are my priorities? You know, we're not going to go out and change the world, right? None of us can do that by ourselves. But what are our priorities related to this topic of nonviolence? What actions are we willing to take, starting with our relationships, those close to us, our families, our spiritual communities? What actions are we willing to take related to nonviolence with those individuals? What are our priorities there? What does that look like? What does it feel like? If I were to observe you taking action in your life and it's congruent with a commitment to nonviolence, what would that look like? What would those actions look like? So I would love to see, you know, what ideas you have or thoughts you have, and put those in the chat. Yeah, it says, you know, just looking at our priorities around this topic of peace and nonviolence, showing up to this every day, certainly that's an action. That's an action that you can take to continue your growth and your evolution, right? And your expansion as a soul, as a spiritual being, as a human being. As we do our own work, it then impacts those around us. Yeah. So that's one action for sure. But what are some other things? Dennis says a lot. Okay. Yeah. And being genuine. Yeah, I love that. Being genuine, being authentic. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing and a beautiful practice, because that's an energy. And when we're genuine and authentic in our expression and the actions we take in the world, it's palpable. People can notice if it's not genuine or when it's not authentic. They can get a sense of that. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's look at our affirmative practice for today. So let's say this together. I will meditate on my true priorities. So, this is something that we don't stop to really think about. What are my priorities in my life? And maybe your priorities now are different than they were prior to the pandemic. Perhaps you've had some growth in that area, and now you're realizing, gosh, I recognize that spending time connecting to the people I live with in my home, my partner, my children, my grandchildren, whatever it may be, really, I think for many of us, we're in much more gratitude about what we have in our life because of the pandemic and all the loss that we've witnessed. So what are our true priorities? Meditating on that. Today, I will be aware of my actions and what they say about my priorities. So are my actions congruent with the priorities that I say? The things that I say that I'm committed to in my life, are my actions, do they align with that? That's essentially what this is asking. And this is the path to nonviolence. When those two match up, when my actions are aligned with what I say my priorities are, yeah, then there's congruency. So let's just take a moment and go within. Taking a deep breath. Just checking in with ourselves. What's a priority for you? What are the priorities in your life right now? And not just, of course, there's many priorities, but as it relates to the topic of creating peace and nonviolence, what are your true priorities there? What are the actions that you're taking in your life? Or what actions would you like to take? Perhaps when the pandemic has subsided and you're able to go back out in the world and take action, what would that look like? What's a priority for you? For some, creating peace in the world means participating on the front lines of a protest. For others, it means staying home in silence and prayer, in that sacred silence, and creating peace and nonviolence simply by sending that healing energy out into the world, into our communities, into our families. For each of us, it's different. But just take a moment to check in with yourself. What are your priorities? What actions line up with those priorities? What actions would you like to take to support peace and nonviolence? So let's just go into a few moments of silence as we contemplate this. And so gently coming back, taking a nice deep breath. Thank you for your comments. Janet says, I want to be available. And Dennis, more service. Wonderful. Yeah. Being of service. And sometimes that's not even clear. How do I want to be of service to my community? How do I want to be of service to my family? How do I want to be of service right now in the world of shutdown and pandemic and all that's going on? Opening ourselves to that, being available to whatever is flowing through us. And it's going to be different for each of us. The actions that we take will show up differently for each of us. Thank you for being with me today. Blessings to you. Tomorrow is day 43, and our topic is justice for all. I wish you a blessed evening, and I hope to have you join me again tomorrow. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful night. Namaste.